Hello, everyone. I'm here today to talk to you about how we run digital church at St. Lawrence's Hungerford. The purpose of this recording is that we would go together through the different bits and pieces of what makes a St. Lawrence's live service online. Um, if you're familiar with St. Lawrence's Hungerford, we go online every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. For a live streaming service. Um, it's being performed live on Zoom, so we bring people who are participating, up to almost 4 or 5 people each service, to take part of the service that we're doing. We follow a service order, which is prayer during the day, um, and we also project the words on the screen as people are watching. We also start with a hymn and we end with a hymn or music, and we also have notices that we share on the screen so everyone would see. So the purpose of this call again, of this session again, is to go through how do we make this happen and the pieces of technology that we use. Behind the scene are two important pieces of technology. One is called OBS and the other one is called Streamdeck. So OBS basically is a platform for live streaming. It's originally meant for online gaming. However, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't repurpose this for the service of Body of Christ. Um, so we have things called scenes, and within the scenes we have multiple media sources. So it can be images, it can be a video, or it can be a window, a Zoom call. That's exactly what we're doing now. And we can also include multiple pieces and stitch them together to give this nice seamless experience for all our attendees online. Streamdeck is another piece of technology that runs behind the background, and the reason for this is if you want continue watching this, you will notice that I will be switching a lot of scenes, and to go between switching scenes and to try to switch to a window and to go back to switch to a scene or mute a volume, this can be quite tricky. Um, and this is where Stream Deck comes in play. Stream Deck allows you to automate multiple actions at the same time. So for example, we can start the streaming and we can mute the volume and we can also start projecting welcome message. Or if we are going to start or end the hymn, we want to mute all the sounds in the background except for the music, and so on and so forth. Um, it's very helpful in that regard, and I have the mobile component of it installed on my phone. We will touch on that a little bit later. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and see exactly how we do it at St. Lawrence's. So I'm going to close this one, and let's first start by creating a private live stream service. So I will go to YouTube Studio, and as you start to choose Go Live, I will reuse the settings from last Sunday. So I will reuse the settings from last Sunday because it has multiple bits and pieces. I will label this as test service, and I'm going to put it for private rather than public, so that only us can play around with it without being seen online. Um, so this is it. So we're testing. This is a private session, and let's create that. As soon as you create a new service, you will end up with a few things. So you are generated a stream key, which is private. Don't share it with anyone. So this is why I'm not going to be sharing this. And you will also have a preview. So this black part of the screen will show the preview of what we will be streaming and what our users will be looking at. And if you go here and refresh on the live, you will be able to see our testing service listed here as one of the live sessions or anticipated live sessions in that regard. So here we have our tests. So as you can see, it is a test service and it is private and there's nothing yet. I usually also have everything in the calendar scheduled up to a week in advance, just to save me the hassle, really. Um, so now we are ready to go live. So what I will do is I will go now to OBS and we will start with a morning welcome. So we used to previously have a static page like this, which has just prayer during the day and logo of St. Lawrence's. However, as we started to progress a little bit, we started to have a slideshow of the photos from the actual church building and from the congregation itself. So this is a really nice feel for everyone to feel that they belong, and this is exactly what what's going to look like when you join us back at St. Lawrence's in Hungerford. Um, so now we're ready to go. All I have to do now is click on Start Streaming. We will have another episode in the near future. We will talk about the settings and how we can set up OBS to use other platforms, for example, Facebook Live, that's an option, or Vimeo, if you want to use Vimeo. How do we get to do that? We'll talk about that later. And we'll also talk about the scenes as we go along. So let's start our streaming service. And as we went live, this is not still live, but the streaming is now on. Right, so we have here green status. That means that our uplink to YouTube is healthy, which is great. It has been live for 18 seconds now. It is live as far as OBS is concerned. And CPU utilization and bits and pieces. I also made sure that I have muted my own mic. If I want to be audible on the service, all I will have to do is unmute it and bring this up, and you'll start to see my voice coming up like this. But till now, I'll just mute it, and we are now ready to actually go live. So we will go back again into YouTube. And once the stream is healthy, we can see now right here is that it now says that it is an excellent connection. And the go live is no longer dimmed out. It is active and you can actually push that button. If we go into this stream health, you will find that when we started off, there was no data. But now, since we clicked the start stream, the stream is healthy. And that everything is excellent and ready to go. So once you're ready to go and we're ready to go live, we click the button, give it a few seconds so that it will catch up with us before we actually start the music. And then we go back to OBS. As you can see, we have quite a few scenes. So this can be quite overwhelming if you have many scenes in the background. So let's start with the starting music, the Sunday starting music. So we have a media source and we have an image. Let's start this and fade into it. So we are looking at this music here. We cannot hear it on this recording, but we will look at it when we have a look on the YouTube after we finish going live. So now we're online. The next thing is we want to start the service. So usually what we will have is that multiple people will have dialed in already on Zoom, those who will be participating in the service. And we are always in speaker view. And the reason we used speaker view, it is very easy to switch because once a person starts to speak, they pop on the screen. And this is it, really. I don't have to do anything about it. So you can have as many people as you want, as long as they are aware that if someone starts to speak, they will pop on the screen. Unless someone is willing to sit in the background, or are you willing to sit in the background and mute people who are not speaking? It's a bit troublesome, but it sometimes it's worth it. So I will switch now to our Zoom call. So on a typical in a typical Sunday, we will have our vicar, we will have people who are joining the service and not joining the service, hosting the service, let's put it that way, are joining in on that call, and they will start queuing each other in. So for example, Mike will say, over to you, Julia, or over to you, George, or over to you, Sandra. And then they, because they are live together on the same call, on the same Zoom call, they will still be able to start speaking and interact. The second thing we do is we mentioned that we have the order of service, which is prayer during the day. Sorry, the sun is quite strong. So prayer during the day, but what if you do not have the content or the prayer during the day? This is why we have the captions and the subtitles. So we run the subtitles here as a slide deck. All the content is put in such way so that it's on a green background, and this is considered a chroma key. We'll talk about chroma key in the future. And we switch between the different, flick between the different slides with the different content, which is already pre-prepared. As we go on in the service, you can see that now this is the live stream, and this is what our audience will be seeing. And this is how it's going to look like. Yeah. So now we want to go to our notices. So to go to our notices, we have a scene, especially called notices, which again, there's another slide pack, which we just go through, flick through, and you can see again, this is the content that the audience are seeing. As we go through this, we also have a small window so that our audience will still be able to see whoever is presenting live. So it's more interactive rather than pre-recorded. Once we're done, we go back again to our service. And if there is more to show as captions, that's fine. Otherwise, if we're done, we go to Sunday ending music, for example. We usually have these smooth fade transitions, and the reason is we want to make sure that it is as smooth as possible, really, rather than having that abrupt cut. So for example, that week we specifically used the UK blessing as our ending hymn. Once you're satisfied, everything is done, everything is finished, we can go back again to the welcome. And the reason we want to do that, it will give that nice fade. So if the music is still continuing and you still want to cut it short anyway, the choice or clicking fade will also fade the music that comes within the scene. And that gives it a really nice, smooth and simple transition. Now we're done with the service. All we have to do now is to end our stream like this. So it will give you quick statistics around what has been happening. And again, as far as OBS still concerned, OBS is still live. So now we do the stop streaming. Stop streaming now. Now you can see that the green box is gone, and now everything is done. You can do exactly the same if you want to pre-record all your content. you can use the start recording. So instead of start streaming, you can start recording. And this is actually what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm actually recording using another instance of OBS Studio. So this is what I'm running right now, and this is what is recording. So hope you found that a little bit useful. I understand and I appreciate there's a lot to take in. We will discuss more in the future how we can do more advanced things. How do we prepare scenes? How do we incorporate additional music and so on and so forth. Till then, stay safe and God bless. We'll talk again soon. Bye.